Welcome to my tutorial for Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Master System. In this version, it's much easier than the NES Ghosts and Goblins or even the Genesis version of the game. Because there's a power-up system, and basically you get you can build your life bar up to about 5 hit points. So you can take a lot more damage once you collect the better armor. So that makes things a lot easier. It's interesting how there's an upgrade system, like by getting the boots, it allows you to jump farther. And I only noticed one jump upgrade when I got the first boot upgrade. So you really only need early on to get the first boot upgrade. You want to get that boot upgrade as your first upgrade that you get. As soon as you open a chest that gives you a door, you're going to go in this door. Because occasionally when you open a chest, it seems random, but when you open a chest, a door will appear sometimes. And when it does, you go in it and you can choose which upgrade you want. So the first upgrade you're going to want to choose is the boots. I didn't know this at all, so I'm going to show you how much of a bitch this one jump was in the second stage. I left in a few deaths just to demonstrate how shitty the control is on without the boot. It's really shitty. I mean, if you get close to the edges, you really fall. It's very hard to edge in this game, to get close to edges to make jumps. So, and the game also does have a lot of slowdown in it. So, you know, it's not the best playing version of Ghouls and Ghosts, but it's a pretty good Master System game, quite good overall. My main issue was that it was very irritating in that second stage, not knowing that I needed to get the boots. You don't actually need the boots to make the jump in the second stage, but you know, it's a real bitch. Even with practicing it with save states, I couldn't get it down consistently. It's very hard to do without the boot. It's the hardest part of the game, but it's also optional. You don't need to make it that hard. You can just, you know, get the boots beforehand by picking up that upgrade. You should come across an upgrade door before you get to the second stage. So, in one of the chests, I believe it's random when the doors appear in the chest. I did try farming them from the same spots, because chests do always appear in the same spot. Sometimes chests are triggered by jumping in a certain area, just jumping straight up and a chest will appear. They're triggered in strange ways by your movement. So, I did try farming them by committing suicide and getting the same chest over and over again. And that never seemed to work for me. I never seemed to get any upgrades that way. But then I would end up getting upgrades from the same chest when I just died and I wasn't trying to farm. So, you know, I'm not really sure if you can farm them from one area to get all your upgrades. You do need to get all the upgrades to beat the game. So, you basically need to get your armor upgraded to gold. I believe it starts at red, green, and then gold for each armor piece. You need to upgrade them all to gold. And then you need to upgrade your weapons to the fireball. And then after you get the fireball weapon, the final upgrade is the, I guess the princess bracelet or something. It's your last power, which I show. It's after the fireball. It's the weapon after the fireball. Then you'll have the option to collect that final power up. And you need that to beat the game. So you do want to upgrade your weapons. You know, in previous Ghouls and Ghosts, you know, ports, your weapons are just a choice. You don't have to upgrade them. You know, you can, you know, choose if you want the axe because maybe you like it better for a certain part. But in this game, you know, the weapon upgrades are required. You have to go through all the weapon upgrades. But I wouldn't worry about upgrading your weapon early on as one of the first things to upgrade, because the first thing you want to upgrade is your boots, so you don't have to deal with that jump I'm going to be showing. I will show how to do that jump if you don't have the upgrade, but you'll make your life a lot easier if you just get the boot upgrade. Now for this part, these platforms always break apart in the same area as far as I can tell, so you just have to memorize where they break open. And if you fall down, it's not a big deal as long as you don't fall in the middle where the crab is. That's an instant death, but there is a door over here. Well, at least for me there was. There was a chest, and it happened to have a door. It may not always have a door, though. You know, I think that is random, but there was a chest here. Now, had I known, I would have gotten the boots, the first upgrade for the shoes, because if you get that, it'll upgrade your jump. And then after that, I don't know if it gives you any more upgrades for the boots, but you still have to upgrade your boots to gold to get the full gold armor suit. So here I should have picked red shoes, but I went with armor. Now, when you get some of these armor upgrades, they increase your hit points up into 5 hit points. See those hearts on the right? Those are your hit points. So unlike other Ghouls and Ghosts games, you actually have hit points. Instead of dying in 2 hits, you actually can get up to like 5 hits, so it makes it a lot easier. Still, you would rather get the boots because it's going to make things easier. That jump is very, very difficult, so it's better to have the boots early on. I would say get that upgrade first. And then after that, you can get whatever upgrade you want after that point. It doesn't really matter too much. Though I would recommend having at least the axe by the final stage because for the strategy I use, you need to have at least the axe because the axe is a little bit wider and it allows you to do a specific strategy I found on these difficult bosses that appear near the end of the game. So you do have to beat the game twice. You have to do 2 full runs of the game to get everything. So here's this jump I was talking about. You'll see it. Now see, look, what happens when I try to make this jump. I show a few. See, if you get too close to the edge, you easily fall off. So let's see a few more examples of this. See. And I'm sure there's a few where I actually tried to jump across without falling. But it's very fucking hard to make this. See how ridiculous it is? I mean, I was pretty far on the edge. If I tried to edge any farther, I would fall off pretty much. It's very, very hard to do. It is possible to do, but it's ridiculous. I didn't know that I pretty much needed the boots to do this reliably. Now here I'm making the chest appear to give myself an extra thing to jump on. And that does work. Even that's a little tricky, but that's the way to do it without the boots. You make the chest appear. The way you make the chest appear is you're going to jump straight up in the area you see me jump straight up at. And it'll make the chest. See, right here. Watch. Well, I didn't do it there because I already have the boots. But you would jump straight up on that one part and make the chest appear. If you rewind my video, you'll see how I make the chest appear. I jump straight up on one of the ledges. So basically, you really want those boots. So now that I have the boots, since this is edited, I already have the boots. I got them from one of the chests. There's a chest that's kind of far out in this area. And once you have the boots, it's a lot easier to get through here. It can be done without the boots, but as you can see, it's very, very difficult to do. So see, that's one of the chests. I think I got a door from that had the boots. And I was trying to farm up another... I think I was trying to farm another chest, but I think that was the only one in the area. But yeah, you should also have some more hit points so you can kind of get through that area easier with some extra hit points. You know, if you got the green armor chest piece, or if you upgrade the helmet, I think it gives you more hit points too. But it maxes out at about 5 hearts. This guy, you basically just stay in the middle and just fire left to right as he appears. And just be wary of those droplets falling down. Try to get in the gaps. Very easy, boss. And yeah, for the level, it was just, it was mainly a matter of... I really didn't play that part well in the successful run of this first round. I think I demonstrated better in my second playthrough of the game, because it makes you beat it twice. So I'll try to explain that better on that run, because really, that was really poorly executed. I just, it worked, so I just left it in. Because all I did was edit out deaths. Basically just edited deaths out. So whatever was successful is what shows up in this tutorial, even if it was sloppy and I barely got through. But I think the second round was cleaner since I knew the game better. So here you can see I already have 5 hit points. So my armor is almost maxed out. I think I'm only missing the helmet at this point. It always shows, it doesn't show different colors for the helmet and the boots on your character, but it'll show when you go in the menu. You'll see what's left to upgrade when you go in the door. As you saw, I showed the door, and you can choose what you want to upgrade. Just be careful not to downgrade anything. I think you can accidentally downgrade gear. Now, if you've already gotten all the upgrades in an area, I think it'll usually offer you life or magic point, which is basically just to replenish your either your hit points or your magic. Magic is something I only used at one part in the game. I didn't find it very useful. I only found it useful for one part. And I'll explain that. You do have different magics you get, and you seem to earn more magics as you upgrade your armors, which is definitely a cool feature of the game. But I just didn't find the magics too useful. The fire magic I found useful for just one specific part of the game, but aside from that, I didn't really use it. But you can experiment with those. The way you use magic is you go in your pause menu by pausing, then you select what magic you want, then you unpause the game, and it'll be selected. And then if you want to use magic, you just hold down the fire button. And when your guy starts flashing, you release it, and you'll use your magic, and it uses up that magic bar in the top left corner. So if you want to experiment with that, you can try that out. But it takes kind of long to charge, and I just didn't find it too useful. I mean, I can bust through a lot of areas without having to use that shit. This part can be kind of tricky. Initially, you want to duck under and then just jump up on this upper tongue up here. And it's actually useful to get the, try to jump over that. It's useful to actually get the... You have to wait for those platforms to be available. So if they're not, you have to wait around. But it's actually useful to get turned into the duck here because, see, you can easily walk under that spike. That purple spike in the back. It looks like it's in the background, but it will actually hit you. So the duck is useful for that brief part. So don't worry about that chest. Just keep going at this point. You can kind of just jump through at this point. This boss can be a little tricky, but if you die on a boss, you get to start right at the boss. So there's no consequences here if you fuck up. All I really do for this boss is just stay in the middle where you spawn and just keep firing up with very little adjustments to my movement. I just kind of tank the hits. I don't even try to avoid the lightning because it's kind of tricky to get into the gaps of the lightning. I mean, you can avoid it altogether and stay on the opposite end of the screen if you want and avoid it that way. But there's not really much of a point because eventually you'll break through just by shooting up at this guy. And I still haven't upgraded my lance weapon to the dagger. You have to go through several weapon upgrades, but I didn't even start doing that at this point in the game. Because, I mean, it was easy enough, and I was concentrating on the armor upgrade since I thought maybe I could get more hit points. But once you get up to 5 hearts, you don't get any further upgrades from the armor upgrades, except for maybe you'll get new magics in your menu that you can use. But like I said, I found those useless. Now, at this point, I have the dagger weapon, as you can see. So I did make the next weapon upgrade. Of course, I'm not showing those upgrades because I edited out deaths. So if whatever upgrades you gain, you keep them even if you die. So that's how I got a lot of my upgrades. So here's another door, but no upgrades here. I probably already got it. But yeah, had I known about upgrading the shoe as the first thing, the boot, I would have gotten through this game much faster. So that tip alone should save you a lot of time. So I should explain also how the game works. Basically, you have to beat this game twice. Now, if you get all the armor upgrades in your first loop and all your weapon upgrades, I'm not sure if you can end the game early by just getting to the end. You might be able to not have to play the game a second time if you have everything. But I did check a speed run of the game, and I saw the same thing where the guy had to play through twice. So I'm guessing that probably won't work. I think the game is going to force you to play through twice no matter what. But I didn't test it myself. Now here's where I use fire magic. You equip it in the menu, and if you get right in the right spot here, you can take those hands out by charging the fire magic. I found it very useful for this because the hands are a pain in the ass. If they grab you, you die instantly, so it's good to just take them out. Sometimes you can take them out with your throwing weapon, but oftentimes they're not reachable like here. So by positioning yourself just right, that diagonal fireball will travel down that path and take out the hands. So I recommend using it for this part. If you're not, close enough on some of them, it won't reach, as you can see. So you may have to try it again, like I'm doing here. I was actually able to hit him with the knives. I didn't even need to use it there. So if you know which ones you can hit with the knives, you can just take those out. But some of them you can't reach with the projectiles. They're at tricky angles. And of course, if you try to jump over the bullet, sometimes you end up jumping back on the top platform. You got to go back down again. Kind of a pain in the ass. I probably shouldn't have tried to get that chest either. But now is the easy platforming part that leads to the next checkpoint. So just jump to these platforms that you see me jumping to. It's a very easy part. Be careful of the spikes on that one jump. But aside from that, that's pretty easy. So now you're going to fight the boss, which is a very easy boss. I was playing sloppy here and just letting the shit hit me. Like, I didn't really care. But all you have to do is just jump in one spot and shoot down. I think I beat this my first time that I got to it. That's why I was playing so sloppy. But you just need to shoot those hearts when they're fully emerged out of their holes. You'll see when they're sticking out. And then you can damage them by firing down. And if you keep jumping and firing down, it takes out the maggots as well, I noticed. At least when I had the dagger weapon, it worked well like that. And I've also beaten it with other weapons. So I think it works no matter what weapon you have. It should be fine. But yeah, just jump in place and keep firing down. Don't even worry about shooting left and right to clear out the maggots. You should have a lot of health by this point anyway with the armor upgrades. You should have most of them. You might not, it's possible, but either way, it should be very easy. Notice this game does have a lot of slowdown. But yeah, if one of them is not available because that centipede is swirling around it, then just go to one of the other ones. Just stay out of range of that flying centipede or whatever the hell it is. And all you have to do is shoot down. Once you take out all these hearts, you will beat the boss. Very easy. So yeah, the way the game works is, I believe you have to beat the game twice no matter what. I don't think there's a way around it, but I didn't test it. I just saw a video. But aside from that, you need to get fully gold armor. See where it says status in the menu? It says helmet red, armor gold, shoes red, and weapon dagger. You need to have helmet gold, armor gold, shoes gold, and the last weapon, the fireball. So you need to upgrade all that stuff to max. Now, once you have all gold armor and the fireball weapon, the next door chest that you open will be the one that gives you the final weapon and that you need to beat the game. So see, now I can pick what upgrade I want. And I think my helmet was the one that needed upgrading, so I upgraded that to the green helmet. And then, of course, the next upgrade is going to be red, green, and then gold for each armor piece. So the next helmet upgrade will be the gold one. You just have to make sure you get everything to gold. All three armor pieces have to be gold. It goes through red, green, and gold for each piece. And then the weapons you have to max out. So even if it's a weapon that you don't think you're going to want, there's really no bad weapons in this game like there is in the other games. So it at least doesn't force you to use the torch weapon or one of the shitty weapons. The weapons are all better. Like, each weapon is better than the last for the most part, it seems. So they're all good to get. But like I said, sometimes you have to prioritize. Like, you want to get the boots before that second stage because you don't want to do that jumping without the boot. It's a huge pain in the ass. Now, if you die enough on the second stage, eventually you may open up a chest and have a opportunity to upgrade to the boot like I did, because I died a lot on that part. And eventually I was able to upgrade to the boot and beat it. Without the boot, you can beat that second part, but it's very, very difficult. One way to make it easy is to make that treasure chest appear and then jump off of the treasure chest to get across that ledge in that second level. That makes it much more doable. I mean, and that's not too hard to do. It's a little tricky. So that's one way to make it a lot easier. But there's still another tricky jumping part in that section that comes a little further in. So without the boots, that whole section is going to be way harder. For this part, you don't even need to go up that ladder I went up. You really just need to follow the path you see me following now is the way to go. This was my first time probably getting here. I think I beat this part very early on. Didn't take much. Maybe one attempt or something like that. So I didn't know what was coming up. With all the hit points you get, it makes it, a lot easier to just run through shit. The slowdown sometimes makes it easier too because you have a lot of time to react. But it would still be a lot better without it. So yeah, this is nearing the end of the first loop. Now here, you're going to notice my weapons change, I believe. I believe I ended up getting... Oh yeah, actually what I show here, I show myself successfully going through this part and then dying. And, the reason I show that... Now this was sloppy, but I do get through eventually. The reason I show this, though, is because... it shows what how I got my weapon that I needed for this part. So the knife is fine up until a little bit later in the stage. It works fine, but there's going to be a part where you have to fight two of these fireball guys at the same time, and with the strategy I was using, the knife really didn't work. So now I upgrade to the axe. And the axe makes this strategy doable that I'm going to be showing. So if you don't have the axe, you may die on this part for a while, but eventually you should find a treasure chest that gives you a weapon upgrade, and you can get the axe. So you don't have to reset the game or anything. You should still be able to implement my strategy eventually. You just have to keep playing until you get the chest with the weapon upgrade, because my strategy will not be doable with the knife. And without my strategy, I'm not really sure how to beat that part. So I don't have any alternative strategies for that part, really. I read that you can try to run to the right fast before the guy spawns behind you, but that didn't work for me at all. So I don't really have much to offer on that. But for this is the part I'm talking about. So I'm going to show, actually, I'm going to die on this part, and then you'll see how I ended up doing it. Well, yeah, this is how I ended up doing it, but I think I die a little bit later in the stage. And I show that death because I wanted to show myself getting the axe weapon to show that it is possible to get the axe in this area if you don't already have it. I would say try to get the axe before you get here, if you can. Be mindful of that and try to upgrade to the axe before you get this far in the game. The only upgrades that you really want to make sure you get in time are the boots before the second stage. Get one upgrade for the boots, and then you want to try to get the axe before you get all the way to this area. It'll just make things easier. I mean, eventually you will get what you need if you play enough, but it makes it a lot easier. And like I said, farming doesn't seem to really work if you commit suicide and keep getting the same chest, because there is a chest in the beginning of this area, and you can keep getting it by committing suicide, but I wasn't able to get upgrades by doing that, so you may have more luck, but it didn't work for me. So here's the door here, and this one leads to the boss. So after I defeat this very easy boss, all you got to do is stay in the middle. You can get hit by the bugs. Just stay in the middle and fire up at it. You got to be more centered with it. You see, I'm not in the center. But now, if you're in the center, you'll hit. So I think I beat this the first time I got to it, so I didn't know exactly where the hitboxes were. But yeah, just shoot up at it in the middle. And don't worry about dodging anything. Just because you have so many hit points, you can just kind of tank a lot of the bosses, including the final boss of the game. So the game is pretty damn easy once you understand what's going on. Much easier than other Ghouls and Ghosts games. So yeah, now you're going to be sent back to the beginning of the game, like this game always does. It sends you back to the beginning. But it's much easier this time because now you're still all powered up. So, now, apparently, if you have your armor maxed out to all gold pieces for all three sets, the boot, chest, and head, it'll only send you back to 5-1. That's what I heard anyway. But I don't know if it's only on the second round that it only sends you back to 5-1 if you have all the gold armor. See, I didn't test that. So, possibly if you have all gold armor, on the second round, it may only send you back to 5-1. I don't know if the second round will actually send you all the way back to the first stage if you don't have the gold armor, but you should have it by then anyway. After being through the game like twice, you should definitely have all gold armor by then. So, I think you have to do this second loop, though. So yeah, all you want to focus on now is you're going to be able to run through the game a lot easier with the extra hit points, and you're going to have the best weapons and shit, and the boots. So you should be able to blaze through everything since you're familiar with the game. It only took me about 30 minutes for this second run of the game. It was very easy, and I spent about 2 hours on my first run. So it's about 2.5 hours total, somewhere around there. But this should be way easier at this point. And I can explain some of the segments a little bit better because I was trying to go into the details of the upgrades and all that shit. So I didn't explain everything about the levels. First level is very easy, though. Not much for me to say. Wait for the blades, obviously. Not much to say here. Now this is a checkpoint. So you can take those guys out when they leave out of the hurricane form, then they're vulnerable. But you may want to kill one of them. Very easy. Stay in between the skulls here. That's all. And you can take them out fast. There's so much slowdown. You have plenty of time to take the enemies out. It makes the game much easier. So, watch out for the vomiting guys, obviously. Which you've already done all this shit by this point. But, now I can explain it a little bit since I got all the other shit out of the way. So yeah, all that's left to do now is to get your final weapon upgrade. So you'll be able to get up to the fireball. Fireball weapon will be where the last weapon that you need to get, and then after that, the next chest will be the final chest that has your power bracelet move. I forgot what it's called exactly, but I left it in, so you'll see when I get it. Very easy boss, especially with 5 hit points. Just shoot up at the head. You don't even need to really dodge anything. Of course, with this part, some of them turn into turtles, but you can easily identify them by the way they look. We just want to go under the ones that are bouncing and kill the turtles or jump over them. Very easy. And I think I did that jumping sequence that comes next. I think I executed it much better in this second run of the game. So hopefully it'll be a smoother demonstration of how I was doing that part when it went well. But I don't remember which run was the best because, like I said, I just edited out deaths. So whatever made it through is what gets into the tutorial. I have had a few tutorials where I refine the sections and play them over section by section to try to demonstrate the best way to play each section. But for this, it was just my playthrough with deaths edited out and just me explaining what I did. Very easy boss yet again. Just keep throwing shit at it. Dodge it if you need to. You may get it into a loop like that where you don't even really need to do much. So now that you have the boots, this jumping segment is going to be very easy. It makes it even easier if you spawn that chest. As you see, I jumped in place to make the chest spawn. If you jump in that exact area, you'll make the chest spawn. So, if you want to use that for extra jumping, or maybe you can even get an upgrade in there if you're lucky, but I never got an upgrade from that one, I don't think. So yeah, after you get through these beams here, you want to keep moving. See, I didn't do it right there because I got hit by the bullet, but if you move fast enough, the bullets won't even come out from the plant. And you'll be right on top of the plant and you can kill it. I didn't really execute it too well. I only got hit once there, so it wasn't too bad. But, I've done that part pretty much without getting hit before, so it was a decent execution. Basically, those lasers that come down in that previous area turn into flame bats, so you just want to watch out where they spawn from and try to take them out immediately so they don't fly into you. See, I have all my armor upgraded by this point, and I'm up to the axe weapon. So I still need a few more weapon upgrades. I think it goes like this. You start with the javelin, then your next upgrade is the dagger. Then after the dagger is the axe. Then I believe after the axe is the discus, and then after the discus is the fireball. Then after the fireball is your final weapon. So I still have a few more weapon upgrades to go to get the final weapon that I need. They always upgrade in that same order, just like the armor goes to red, green, gold. The weapons go in that same order. So, and like I said, the weapons are not optional upgrades at all in this game. They are required. I do like that this game did something different and actually had an upgrade system. I think that's very cool. Something different. I mean, if you've played through all the versions of these games, Ghouls and Ghosts, it's cool to have something different. I mean, I wouldn't want every port to be the same, And that's what was great about older games. They would port them to different hardware. Sometimes they'd be completely different games with different layouts or just completely different. If you look at NES games that were ports of arcade games like, Jackal, Gunsmoke, Carnov, a lot of these games, they were very different than the arcade versions. In many cases, they were completely different games. And that was one cool thing about having multiple ports back then. And playing them on emulation is great because now, if a game is ported to, say, 3 systems, Genesis, Super Nintendo, NES, you can try all the different ports. And they may play very differently. So, it's a little bit something different. If you've already beat one version of a game, you get some variety. So I do like that about old games. It may have not been great back then if you got the inferior port of a game because you didn't have, the system that had the better version on it. But nowadays, I mean, with emulation, you have access to all that shit. So it's great now to be able to play different versions of games. I enjoy beating different ports of these games. And this was one that I never even played or beat. I may have tried it briefly on emulation, but I never worked on it. So yeah, now I have the discus, as you saw me get in the last area. So I still have to get the next upgrade, which I believe is fireball. Then after the fireball, I'll get the final weapon. You can see I'm playing these parts a lot better with less damage overall, because I'm a little bit more familiar, with the layout. This part goes on for a little while, because shit kept coming at me. I tried to make the jump anyway through the wizard, but it didn't really work out. You have so many hit points, I didn't care too much because I knew I could just bum rush through this area to the next checkpoint where the boss is. So, I don't always play real carefully when I know I can just, bust through and tank the hits. So yeah, pretty much same shit. I just stay in place and fire up at this guy, and I just take hits. I don't even worry about it. Because you have, like I said, so many hit points by this point in the game that you can really abuse that. And you don't have to, try to avoid shit on a lot of the bosses. Eventually you will muscle your way through by brute force. But yeah, this was a cool game to beat. It's cool to try another version of Ghouls and Ghosts, which is one of my favorite old games. Great old game. My favorite console port is the Genesis version, but the Super Nintendo version was very good too. Just didn't have as good control with the jumping, and you couldn't fire up. So I do like the Genesis version better, but the Super Nintendo version was actually very good. It had a lot of slowdown, but it had different levels than the Genesis one and the arcade one. So the Genesis one was more of a direct arcade port, and of course the arcade one is probably the best version of this game. But Genesis one is very close. So now with all the hit points we have when we get back to this area, it's much easier because you can kind of just run through. So now I got the fireball. That is the final weapon upgrade before you get the last chest. The next chest that I get that has a door will be the final upgrade. One good thing about the final weapon is that it still has the full range of the screen. Unlike in the other versions of the game, when you get the final weapon, it has a super short range. I mean, it's very powerful, but it has a very short range. In this game, I think it may be more powerful as well, but it has the full range of the screen, so you don't have to be super close to the enemies. So there's one good thing. So here I'm just doing the same shit I did before with using my fire magic. to get through here. And I think I did it. I executed it better here, if I remember right. So I may not get hit this time around. If you do it just right, you can get them all with the fire magic without having to throw any knives at them, I believe. I was still trying to get chests. I think I was trying to get that final weapon that I need, but I end up getting it a little bit later. And for this second round, I don't believe it's any harder. I mean, if it is, I couldn't notice it. It was actually much easier for me because of I had all my upgrades. So if it is harder, it's going to balance out by the fact that you have 5 hit points and better jumping and the better weapons. So it'd make it much easier. So the second round really wasn't that bad. It's harder in previous games because there is no upgrade system in those games. No permanent upgrades. So yeah, same shit for here. This time I may have actually stayed away from the flying snake. I mean, originally when I beat it on my first try, I think last time, so I didn't really care about the snake. I was just trying to bust through, playing sloppy. But same shit here. Just keep jumping in place and firing down, and for the most part, the maggots will just, walk into your fire and die. You may take a few hits. This was a very hard boss on the professional mode of the Genesis version, I believe. I believe in the arcade version it was the hardest, because I played through it on the professional version of the Genesis game, and I played through it in the arcade version. I believe the arcade version may have been the hardest version of this boss, and that was just on the default arcade setting, if I remember right. I remember it being quite difficult for the arcade. Professional on Genesis, I remember not being that difficult for me. It didn't take me too long to beat. But the arcade one, I remember that being quite a bit harder, if I remember right. I don't think it was the professional on the Genesis that was the hardest one. So yeah, now we're back in the end areas. Not quite the end, but close. For this area, you have so many hit points and fireballs. If you want to, you can kind of just run through and bust through. But I was trying to get the chests. I was hoping still that I could get that final weapon that I need to beat the game. So I was still searching chests at this point. But if you don't want to get the chest here, you can try to get it in the final stage. Which is a little bit more of a dangerous stage probably. But you can still get it there. There's plenty of chests in that final stage as well. So I believe I didn't end up getting the final weapon until the final stage. So I don't think I even found it in here. So I really didn't need to be searching these chests. But depending, on where your upgrades are at, you may not even have the fireball weapon by this point. You may still be stuck on the axe. Hopefully, you have better weapons by now. But if not, you can still go through all the doors and get your upgrades. You just have to upgrade them one at a time. So it may take a little while to catch up. And also, make sure you commit suicide if you're at the end of the final stage and you don't have all your upgrades that you need. Don't go all the way through the stage, because then you're just going to get sent back probably to 5-1. If you have all your gold armor, you may get sent back to 5-1. But there's really no need to do that. Just commit suicide, because it's not going to let you pass unless you have the upgrades you need. So here it just lets me get a life refill, which is useless for me right there. But I believe you'll see me get the fireball. Or not the fireball, after the fireball you get the final weapon. So it's going to show that soon. It is possible to go through this area without taking any damage. I've done it before, but a lot of times I did it pretty sloppy. So you may have to try it a few times before you're able to bust through. Keep in mind that in the parts where two of those barriers come out at you, you can get in between them and stay in the middle of them, even though it looks like you're going to get hit. So that is one way to dodge them, but on that ladder. But you may have to try that several times to get through. Sometimes I would just take the hits and use some of the invincibility frames to kind of bust through, because the bosses are very easy when you know what to do. I really didn't have to take damage on this, but I was playing real sloppy. So for here, what I do is, again, I run all the way to the boss. the boss on the right. I ignore the one on the left, all the way to the right, and then I just fire straight up at his head. And generally when I do that, I won't get hit, and I'll just take him out, and then I can just run past him. So that's what I did. As long as you have the axe, you can do that. If you have anything lower than the axe, you can't use that strategy because the weapon is not wide enough. So now I get the Psycho Cannon. That's the final weapon of the game. And I think I died here, but it didn't matter. I got the final weapon, so now I don't have to worry about chest anymore. So yeah, unless you have the Psycho Cannon, don't try to beat this final stage, because like I said, it's just going to send you back. It'll probably send you back to 5-1, but in worst case, it may send you back to the beginning of the game. So just, just don't beat this stage unless you have what you need. But once you have the Psycho Cannon, you're good to go, because it's only available after you've maxed out your armor as well. So you should be fine at this point. Now you can just go and beat the game. And the Psycho Cannon, it has the same range as any other weapon. So, and it kills it kills them pretty fast. It's pretty powerful. That's kind of just a habit to collect chests, but I really don't need it at this point. So here I show how to play the bosses better, I think. I probably shouldn't have even gotten hit there, but you get the idea. You really don't need to take damage on these heads. They're pretty easy. The first one, you can kind of just get under and shoot straight up at it pretty easily. You can do the same for the second one, too, if you want. Or you can just dodge the fireballs and throw, and shoot it. Once there's just one, it's easy. Same strategy here. Just get all the way to the rightmost boss and just fire straight up at it. So yeah, you're going to have this cloud here. Just dodge it. Just run through this area and climb up. You don't always need to use the ladder. Sometimes you can jump up on those platforms. So you take out this head. And that's pretty much the end of the stage. Then you'll be on the boss. You're just going to fight the bee again, which is it's even easier now with this weapon. So just get in the middle of it and fire up at it. Very easy. The final boss is extremely easy. I beat it on the first time getting to it. The hit detection is a little weird on the bee. If it's not centered right, it doesn't hit, but it's very easy boss. So yeah, now you're on the final boss and the final stage. So I believe you get a checkpoint here, but this is super easy. You get all your life back, so all I did here was get in the middle and fire straight up. Now, that didn't reach. I think I needed to get up on this, see, this middle platform, and then fire up. So all you got to do is from the beginning, just get up on the middle platform, fire straight up. That's all you got to do. You can jump if you want to while you're firing. You can mix it up. But I just kept jumping and firing up, and I beat it. And I only got hit twice. I wouldn't have even taken that first hit if I would have went up on the middle platform to begin with. So, very, very easy fight. The easiest boss in the game by that point. So yeah, the game really isn't too hard when you know how it works and what to do. You have to know about the upgrades. If you don't understand how the upgrades work, then you'll get sent back. And it can be a pain in the ass not knowing what's going on. But hopefully that explains everything. If you have any other questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.